And I'm very happy to say I'm finally meeting the man, the myth, the legend himself, Silverfinger Singh, live in the studio. How are you doing?
Yes, my brother. Absolutely buzzing to be here today. You get me? Come on.
You know what? It's so weird, like, because obviously I feel like we've known you on socials for like, I want to say nearly 2 years now, or pretty much 2 years, and it's so weird to like when you meet someone in person that you've just known as like a parasocial relationship online.
Totally.
It's like, wow, Silverfinger Singh is real. You know what I mean?
Not just a voice on the air or a picture on the socials, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nah, likewise, my bro. The feeling's mutual. You know, honoured to be here today, and I appreciate the invitation. So thank you.
For sure. How are you feeling? Like, how's Manchester been this morning? You said you've been out and about.
We've been in the city centre in the northern quarter, and it's just been a lovely casual vibe. You know, just linked up with my mates, had some other friends come, and there was like 5 of us, and we were just having a good time. You know,
nice.
Went to a couple of different locations, and basically we've been filming for an up and coming single that me and Rebellious are working on now.
Nice.
And it was just it was really, really lovely.
But yeah, obviously the focus of today is mainly yourself.
Thank you.
Seeing as you've had your latest single Realign come out with, I wanted to check as well, is the pronunciation correct? Winachi.
That's correct. Yeah, Winachi.
Yeah.
Warrington.
Yeah. I grew up in Warrington.
Yeah. I know that.
I didn't know. Okay, that's cool. I'm like enjoying that. We're gonna get talking a bit more about that later, but I thought to start off with, we talk a bit more about you as an individual, because even like in the 10 minutes that we had off air before this, we immediately got onto the topic of talking about making sure we're representing brown talent in the north, that sort of thing. And when I do think of that, you are primarily one of the people that I would associate that with.
Thank you.
And I wanted to just talk to you about, like, why do you feel personally that's so important to continue supporting and facilitating?
Okay. Well, look, for me, when I was, call it, when I was like 15, let's just say, right? And, I was an up-and-coming guy myself. I never really had that many avenues and, options, really. So, in terms of, like, somewhere to play your music or, to have your ideas heard. So, when the opportunity finally came for me to, be a broadcaster presenter and, have my own show focused all on Asian music, as much as I really wanted to play, all the mainstream and stuff in the charts and, the stuff that everybody's listening to and, bringing it to a slightly different audience. There's all of, as much as that was great, I really wanted to just enhance and have the focus on, the up-and-coming person and the person that never had the opportunity. Essentially, I just wanted to be the guy that I was looking for when I was that really young artist, you know what I mean? So, I think it's so important because, if we don't give them that platform and that space to really, express themselves, then who is? Mm-hmm. So I feel that we're in really privileged positions to be able to provide this platform and solution for these rising stars, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's something really important that you just touched upon then, with the sense of who is sort of thing, because I think a lot of people would look at the type of thing that you and I are doing and would be, but like, and again, this is very obviously a silly argument, but they would be like, like, isn't that racism? You're literally just doing one thing. You're only focusing on one particular race, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, like with any form of inequality, until everyone's on the same level, you do need to provide that stepping stone to people from different groups, and that's exactly what we're doing
exactly here. We're pushing, it's always, the message has always been pushing for equality, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when we have these focused shows, why veer away from what the focus should be? Do you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we're doing an Asian show, it's all about brown excellence, do you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, with the South Asian diaspora, it's quite far and wide, isn't it, anyway? So with me and my shows, it's not just been a load of Indian, Pakistani or Bangladeshi. I've always tried to go as far as wide as, Oriental and, show artists from China and Japan, and then show artists from Malaysia, and, try and go as far as Saudi, and, just try and get as much in there as you can, basically, of different backgrounds and where people are from, you know what I mean? So
I think that's really nice as well, because I think a lot of people would just see your name, for example, and think, he's just gonna play a lot of Punjabi music. That's what they expect. But it's nice that you make that extra effort to actually make sure that you're being inclusive.
Yeah, 100%. It's always just because that's how I've grown up. It's always been, it's about everybody and everything. There's a song title there, isn't there? But you know what I mean? It's like I've always wanted to just, bring as many different kinds of people together, really, and a melting pot. And that's why, I really love doing my show, because I've got the opportunity to do that.
Nice.
And yeah, I could quite easily go down the route of just playing Bhangra and Punjabi stuff, but there's already things like that on the air already, you know what I mean, that you can press a button and then you've got 2 hours worth of it. So why not be different? Mm-hmm. And why not provide a newer and fresher thing for people to listen to?
For sure. So I'm interested as well as to how you actually got to this stage, because obviously when you've been talking very passionately now, you've been talking about yourself as a radio broadcaster, as with your show sort of thing. But obviously you are a lot more than that. You're an artist, you're a DJ. Like, how did you actually come to be this involved in music?
Okay. Well, yeah, I appreciate that, my guy. Thank you. So, for me, I come from a musical family. So my father, he's a producer, tabla, percussionist extraordinaire. He's, absolutely amazing guy, toured with some fantastic musicians. Ian Brown from the Stone Roses, for over 20 years. And, through that, I was able to see quite a lot. My Uncle E always had one arm around me, from when I was 11 years old. So, 35 now. So got to see many, many cool moments with him. And, through that, going to things like V festivals and all these cool gigs that he was involved in, I was able to sort of, have a look and be there. And, I was able to meet like Dizzy at a very young age, and people like Joss Stone, Natasha Bedingfield, whilst they were in their prime. And I was just some little kid, you know what I mean? Like, just learning the way. I got to meet Keith Flint, from The Prodigy, and had like moments with him as a young guy, and he was telling me all sorts of great stuff. And, these are all the things that have influenced and inspired me to keep going. And, I just remember being a young man watching Ian from the side of the stage, thinking one day I'd love to be that guy. And, I feel like I've embraced quite a lot of him in my life as well. So, through there, naturally, from this young 11-year-old kid, I then got to 15 and learned computer technology and learned how to write my own beats, as well as having all the analog stuff that was already around me in the house. I sort of waited. I come from, a lot of my musical education comes from the Gurdwara, being part of the Sangat, playing Kirtan. I was a tabla player naturally, thanks to my father. So that, the love for drums and beats and rhythms all came from there. When I eventually got to 15, learned about, beat making and stuff like that. And then eventually started writing spoken word and poetry with my best mate Saju Ahmed from Leeds Young Authors, and then he went down the spoken word route, I then went down the music route, and here we are sort of like 10, 15, 20 years later. Did my first EP, The Education Road, did that after I graduated from uni, studied computer technology and sound production and CMST, so yeah, it was fantastic. Leeds Beckett. And then from there, I've just been in work ever since, and I've worked for some pretty cool companies. I've worked for Sky, I've worked for Vodafone, I've worked for Samsung, worked for other telecoms companies, and I've worked for a local TV station as well called Made in Leeds TV. At the time, I think they've rebranded now. So I've had a lot of cool exposure to quite a lot of the industry, and it was through me then touring my own works, and I've been privileged enough to I've played gigs in Scotland, played gigs in Wales, played gigs up and down England. Even ventured out to Holland. I've performed on a boat. I've done all sorts of cool stuff. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's an absolute privilege and honour for me. I've toured with Ian as well. 5, 6 occasions at O2 academies up and down the country. So it's been absolutely amazing. And then through all of that, the opportunity came to then I was scouted by the talent team at BBC Leeds, and I was like, yeah, just, bring what you're doing on the stage on the radio. I was like, all right, cool. Do you know what I mean? And, I absolutely loved it. Shout out to Shahid and Sanjeev. They were two massive people in my life at Radio Yorkshire who really helped and, put their arm around me and helped, develop me into this broadcaster that I am today. And, from there, successfully running the Asian Fusion show for a year. And then, I had an opportunity to collaborate with Asian Network, part of Future Sounds, and we did something for BBC Music Day where we brought the very first DAB pop-up station, and we did something called Bradford 1 Extra, And it was all about bringing the sound of One Extra to Bradford and doing the thing live. And, you know, we had Kenny Allstar, we had Sir Spyro, and, you know, Lucky Me was the headline event, you know, alongside, you know, my big bro, man, like Limelight, you get me? So me and DJ Limelight went back to back for 2 hours, and I brought the sound of the North to his show, and, you know, he mixed all the songs live, and I brought the information and spoke, you know, very passionately about all my mates, people like Harris Mead and everyone else. And, you know, that was absolutely amazing. And then on the back of that, I then landed, you know, my own show on the Asian Network, part of what's called the Takeover series, alongside, you know, some very notable DJs, you know, people like Goldtooth and Kizzy, and, you know, the list goes on. And, you know, there was me in the mix as well. So super proud, you know, got to do it twice, and that was over a month. So I had 2 whole months of, you know, taking over the Asian Network. So, you know, for me, I'm a very, very happy man. You know what I mean? I've been able to do a lot. I've performed at some of the biggest stages. I've broadcasted at, you know, the top of the, you know, the game, you know, in terms of working for the BBC, gone national as well as local. And, you know, I'm still here writing my own music. And, you know, here we are absolutely flexing on Pi Radio. So, yeah, loving life.
Yeah, no, like, wow. Like, when you're just listing all of your achievements sort of thing, it is very, like, it's a lot to take in, but in a good way sort of thing. Thanks, like, bro. It was just like, then I did this, and then I did that.
I'm trying to not forget stuff.
No, but it's such like a impressive roster to have.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like the British Asian DJ scene? Because obviously you've mentioned like a number of notable names in that. Like, how does it feel to be a part of that? And do you feel like it's had a bit of a growth over the past couple of years? Because I'm not sure whether it's just the fact that obviously we've been doing this and I've been a bit more aware of it. But I certainly feel like, or maybe it's like in the after the pandemic, but it definitely feels like that's sort of like growing, and there's more of a sense of community, and like that a lot more South Asian DJs are getting their name out there, not only within the South Asian music scene, but also like into the mainstream as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you know, we're sort of similar age, innit? Yeah, so we've all come up from, you know, times where it was all about, you know, the Bhangra nights and, you know, sorry, let me pronounce it properly, Bhangra nights, yeah, right, and the Asian nights, and, you know, all these great things. And like for me, you know, in Leeds, you know, we used to have quite a lot of great events, yeah, you know, thanks to the Untouchables and, you know, like people behind RDP and all the rest of it. Yeah, there was so many great things and functions that would take place, and, you know, I was fortunate enough to, you know, to have seen it and be part of it, and, you know, be just a spectator. And, you know, you had DJs like Smooth D and B Naughty, and, you know, like they were like pioneers of their time in terms of like, you know, just, you know, Yorkshiremen, you know, on the decks basically, and they were gigging up and down the country, as well as, you know, so many other, you know, DJ Chudster, rest in peace. You know, there were so many great people. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, you know, there were already people out there leading the way for us in what's quite a difficult market to get into, especially being up and out as well. Do you know what I mean? It's very niche, isn't it? So, you know, they were able to do it. You know, there was a time where it then sort of died off a bit, but then, you know, that's when, you know, the younger people then were able to step up, and that was all thanks to, you know, like workshops really, and, you know, young kids being given the opportunity to learn how to DJ, learn how to scratch, learn how to create a playlist and things like that. And then that's when we saw this massive, you know, resurgence of the Asian DJ. And it's not just Bhangra music, you know, they're mixing in UKG and hip hop and, you know, all these different crossovers. And, you know, now you've got like some, you know, amazing people out there. I'm going to shout her out again, you know, DJ Kizzy, for example, you know, and what she's doing, not only just as a female DJ, let's just put that to one side, but as just an Asian DJ, and how she's fusing so many different worlds together, inspired by all these other great people that have been out there already, obviously, but it's definitely bringing a lot of people closer and together, which is absolutely fantastic. So tying that back in the fact that she's a female DJ as well, you know, alongside like, you know, my friends like Priya, Gracie T, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and they're just at the forefront right now, absolutely kicking ass, and I absolutely love it. So yeah, great things to see.
For sure. And I think with Kizzy as well, it's obviously great. Again, another thing notable to her name is that she's so young as well, and that she's making such massive moves.
Waves.
Like,
yeah, totally. And, you know, she's touring up and down the country, you know, coming here to Manny, you know, gigs in Leeds, this and that. You know, she's absolutely killing it. So I got a lot of love for her, man. So yeah. Salute. And at the end of the day, she's awakening now this new generation that, you know, are a little bit lost in terms of like, you know, what music path do they follow? What are they listening to? And at the end of the day, it's like, you know, making sure that you're sticking to your roots is really important. Yeah. yeah, and we live in a world now where there's so much diverse options of what we can listen to and what we're watching on TV and stuff, and what, you know, amazing people like Kizzy are doing is basically they're bringing the Punjabi and the roots and culture back home, you know, to these slightly younger generation kids. So I think it's absolutely amazing. So definitely there's a massive sense of community at the moment, which is great to see.
So backtracking a bit to when you were listing off all of your incredible achievements so far, obviously you've done a lot, and you said you're very happy, you're content with that. What now then? Like, so looking forward, like you've got at least like another of your lifetime so far in the game sort of thing left in you. Like what do you want to do in that?
With recent changes that are happening and things like that, you know, I've been able to just focus back on me again, the guy who got me to where I am now, you know, Silverfinger Singh, the artist, the writer, you know, the producer, and I've just been focusing on that. So, you know, I look at life 10 years at a time. I've got a son, he's 10. I've got a daughter who's 1. So my plan now is to get him to 20, her to 10. What am I going to do to achieve that? So I've always looked at it in blocks of 10 life, and right now, you know, I just want to write about the things that I've gone through over the last 10 years, and the last set of works were a reflection of what happened the previous 10 years, if that all makes sense. So at the end of it, I know there's still a lot more writing to do, but you know, thanks to my friends here with me today, you know, people like Rebellious Landry, who, you know, stood right next to me, bro, and at the end of it, you know, we're going to be hitting the road, we're going to go on tour, we've got all these wicked tunes that we've been writing, and you know, at the end of it, we just want to keep promoting and spreading, you know, that good word, you know, that real message of, you know, meaningful messages of like togetherness, unity, equality. So when we go lick stage, you know, we're there with serious messages. It's not just hype talk, you get me? You know, we've got the legacy stuff from the previous albums, plus all these amazing new sounds that we're writing at the moment. So yeah, you know, for me, I just want to just keep gigging, touring, you know, writing new songs where I can, and you know, just at the end of the day, trying to, you know, keep that door wide open for the next set of people, you know, to come through, and hopefully they can then do that for, you know, the people behind them.
It is great how like we're literally talking about you, and you keep on finding a way to bring in how like you're literally opening doors for other people. It kind of shows like how much of a selfless person you are in terms of like just trying to help people around you.
I mean, look, it's basics of Sikhi, that, you get me? You know what I mean? We live a nimmerdad life, which is, you know, to just keep humble, keep your head down, and, you know, at the end of the day, always help the next man where you can. So that's just the foundation of who I am, you know what I mean, bro? So I appreciate what you're saying, though. Thank you.
For sure. So like you've mentioned before as well about how this generation don't really know where they or need a bit of guidance perhaps in terms of where to go in terms of musically, but you as an artist as well, as someone that has shown that it is possible to kind of dip into lots of different genres, like obviously I'd say Asian influence is sort of a key factor in what you do, but at the same time, like when I look back at your releases, and especially this most recent one as well, it's very varied, you're like very versatile, you can kind of jump on anything sort of thing. So like, do you kind of see yourself as fitting into any sort of specific genre, or are you happy to kind of just go for whatever? Yeah,
I think, you know, the advantage that I've got is because I'm not just, you know, from one school of thought, you know, I want to dip into different things. You know, I grew up listening to, you know, from Eminem and Dre to Limp Bizkit, you know, so you've got like so much variation there. Like my cousin, he was the rocker guy, I was the hip hop guy, so, you know, he introduced me to Slipknot, I introduced him to Cypress Hill, things like that, yeah? So I've always kept my music listening always quite wide and varied, you know, especially, you know, the influence of Ian and the Stone Roses around me in my life, you know, all that indie scene and, you know, Northern Soul, Mondays, you know, you name it, it's always been around me, and I've always been at all the gigs. So, you know, in terms of like my sound, it's a big fusion of everything that's always been around me, you know what I mean? So yeah, certainly don't want to be just put into one box. Yes, I'm hip-hop by core, but everything else is, you know, at the end of the day, hip-hop was made, you know, from other strands of other things, R&B, things like that, yeah, blues, and that's where the hip-hop then keeps going into other genres, and that's how new subgenres have been born and made and created. So yeah, I certainly don't want to just be stuck in one box, bro, you know? I want to do as much as I can.
Well, the Northern Soul you just mentioned obviously brings us on to your most recent single, Realign, with Winachi, which again, like, I remember when you first told me that was happening, and you were like, oh yeah, it's this Northern Soul fusion track, and I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what to expect here. And I was like, when I listened to it, I was like, okay, yeah, this actually makes sense. I get where this is going. So do you want to tell us like a bit about how that collaboration came about?
Yeah. Well, look, first of all, the beat I made on Reason, back in 2008. That's how long ago the beat. So the core of the beat, was made like back in 2008.
No, because that's making me feel old now. Because now I'm just realizing 2008 was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm just like,
start of my career, basically. You know what I mean? Yeah, like back in the day, I remember, me and my bro Simon Houdini Howarth, from Leeds, Magic Fingers. So Magic Fingers and Silverfinger linked up, basically. It's my bro right there. You know, very, very, very established musician, grade 8 pianist. You know, lovely brother. So me and him got to spend some good time together, going through stuff. And at the end of the day, this beat was influenced. It was a time of like Maybach music, Rick Ross and that. So that's where the arpeggiators come from. And it was sort of that time, and that was the kind of vibe I was going for. So he helped me get the arpeggiators, and then obviously I put the drums down, and then we figured out a bass pattern, and then we sort of just left it there. And then it was in lockdown where I was able to go through, because got furloughed. It was great. It was a beautiful summer. Wife and the kids were happy. It was great. I was like, right, I'm gonna find some of me time now. So I'd spend the day with them, and then the evening I'd be in the studio, and I was able to boot up one of my old Macs, and found all these old files, and I was like, oh wow, this is great. You know what I mean? For going through all my old Reason. I was like, damn, I was ahead of the curve here when I was listening back to some of these beats. You get me? I was just like, wow, where was my thinking? So found that. I was like, right, we've got to do something with it now. And we wrote obviously moved the chunks about, blah blah blah, rearranged the song, and I then threw the beat to one of my bros, Liam, from the Winachi tribe, now known as Winachi, based in Warrington. And he vibed off it, and me and him, we're really close, obviously, because the link between Winachi and my house is very close. My father, Mr. In the Goldfinger, he's the head percussionist of that group, so there was always going to be this natural link up anyway. So Liam, threw the beat to him. He came back to me, we just need some direction to find our way back home. And I was like, wow, motherless child, the wilderness is wild, your heart will forever roam. I was like, bro, you've gone deep on here, man. Do you know what I mean? It was absolutely incredible. He sang it. I was like, yeah, this sounds really cool. And then that's when, my lyrics came out. I've never been this far apart, thought stuck inside an hourglass. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a natural time of reflection, and that's how these lyrics came out. And then eventually, we recorded all the percussion at home, and then we took it to my brother Luke at Prospect Studios in Bradford. And we then, took the whole concept to him. And it was great because it's the first time I was able to work with electronic guitars, and, it was proper, bringing all my influences together. You've got indie influences in there, rock influences in there, hip hop and jab beat, bhangra, and I brought it all into one sound, basically. So it was just an absolute vibe to do. It was a dream for me, and you can hear bits of Cypress Hill, you can hear bits of Ian in there, you can hear bits of Dr. Dre in terms of the drums, and you hear bits of Rick Ross, and these were all the influences for me at the time, merged into the 2011 2012 kind of sound. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Sorry, 2021 sound. Sorry.
I was like saying but I was thinking okay, where we literally lost in time now.
Sorry, I just erased 10 years there. But basically, that old school 2008 sound hybrided into this 2021 world, you know what I mean, during lockdown. So, I was, as difficult as a time it was for the world, for me, I really loved that time because I was able to, A, reconnect with my family, and B, actually do what I wanted to do, which is, not working some random job, but I'm actually doing what I want to do, which is music full time, and it was great. And that's how this came out. It was through lockdown.
Yeah, I wanted to ask as well, because obviously a great addition is that you've got a music video for it as well. And where was that shot? Which beach is that?
So we went to Formby Beach for that.
I was thinking that makes the most sense in terms of Warrington, but I was I wanted
to make sure it was in the north. I wanted it to, because it's the kind of the whole thing of Realign. So you don't hear the it's not in the hook or anything. Realign, it's it's Realign and Fly Straight. That's where I came with the the name of the song through my lyric there. And at the end of the day, it's a case of, it's lost and found, and that's why we thought, going to the beach, it references one of Ian's songs, Dolphins Were Monkeys, and it's like it all comes full circle. That's what I wanted to do, was, just bring everything back into one and bring it back home. And, you've got the Warrington link there, the Manchester link, the Liverpool link, and that's why I felt going to Formby was a very important thing,
For sure. So we're going to play it in a second. First of all, I can't believe how fast time goes on here, but I wanted to say thank you so much for coming and chatting to me today. Like I say, it's been a pleasure to meet you in person. For the people that want to follow your journey and see this new music that you got coming up, including a track with Rebellious as well, which hopefully if you're in Manchester, you can look and spot some of the locations from Northern Quarter and that.
100.
So if people want to keep up to date with that, where's the best place for them to find you?
You'll be able to find me, on the usual social platforms, places like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Silverfinger Singh, all spelt in the usual way. The record label is Silver Lining Records. It's all organic, it's homegrown, and we're just trying to push that good vibe. You know what I mean? And shout out to Pi Radio, Mango Masala. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I appreciate the invitation and you supporting me and my music, my bro.